we are live. Hello. Okay, so
Hello.
this is going to be. What rank is this again?
I think high diamond to low master.
Okay, right. So uh, around that area in terms of some hit scan gameplay, some Ash, some Soldier 76, right? And we're going to be looking at a lot of that. You sent me this code. You also sent me Colosseo. The reason why I chose Suravasa as opposed to Colosseo is because Colosseo like it was kind of a game where you were pretty much doing a majority of the things that you needed to do. That was a really close game, and it had a lot of kind of elements to it that were like you weren't necessarily playing 100% efficiently, but at the same time you were still playing pretty well. That was kind of a little bit more RNG, right? The reason why you kind of lost that one. I wouldn't necessarily attribute it to 100%, but this one is going to be a lot clearer to see what we can do better because there were some kind of more obvious errors here that are easier to pick out, right? Especially when it comes to how you kind of maneuver around space and around this map. Okay,
I see.
so
Okay.
before we kind of go into this, let me just ask you this question: how do you play hit scan?
Usually from my role as a hit scan, I think firstly to shoot the tank such that the enemy tank can't really push up and take space. And then when the enemy tank is kind of low, then I'll shoot hit scan. Or if there's like any squishy that's out of position, then I'll shoot them. But mainly usually try to shoot the tank until like there's opportunity to shoot the hit scan.
Okay, okay, all right. So we kind of want to shoot things now. Um, in terms of like how we position, how would we try to focus on that?
I usually for my playstyle, I start off main and kind of try to see where the enemies are at. Then eventually, mid fight, I usually try to take an off angle. At least I try to, if it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go from there. And I try to not die while off angling, but sometimes I still die. I think due to positioning issues.
Okay, okay, all right. So when we're playing, Ash versus Soldier 76 or something like that, well, pretty much either one, right? What would you consider our like effective range to be, and how do you think that would change how you position around the map?
Effective range, as in my own effective range, or the enemy's
No,
like
your effective
composition.
range, your own effective range, on like Ash or Soldier or something of that nature.
I would imagine kind of just how do I say this? Kind of in a spot where the enemy tank has to use like additional cooldowns to try to get to me around that range. Like not where the range where they can just walk up and get me,
Mm-hmm.
but kind of in the range where they have to at least use one cooldown to try to contest me.
Okay, okay. And if we were to kind of put that into like short, medium, long range, where would you kind of put that on that spectrum?
Definitely medium, I think.
Okay, okay, all right. I would kind of argue that when it comes to characters like Ash and Soldier 76, that it would be more effective to kind of play at longer ranges, and the reason being is that from those ranges, then you have like more of a guarantee at that point that they can't really do the damage that they want to against you in a lot of regards, right? So the longer and the farther distance wise you kind of play away, the better we have, the better opportunities that we kind of have in that regard of mitigating damage, right? So while we can still do that damage as well. With Soldier, I would say it's a little bit closer to mid range than Ash, right? Ash would be further, closer to like longer ranges. You can definitely play in that, in a lot of those ranges as well. And now let me ask you, how would that probably um, define where you would want to position in terms of the map? Like, what types of places would you want to play in for the to complement those ranges?
Definitely number one is always high ground.
Mm-hmm.
But I find it a bit difficult when you say long range because I try to balance being kind of in range of my team still. Because nowadays I find that there's a lot of dive heroes, and if someone tries to contest me, I need to still go back to the team. So if I play too far away, won't it be like very hard for my team to kind of help me if I need help?
Yeah. Yeah, 100% in certain regards, right? In certain situations, yes, playing close to the team can definitely help you against dive heroes, but also we kind of also need to understand the fact that like when it comes to dive heroes, if we are playing at a certain distance away from those characters, it would actually be a very expensive for them to actually dive onto you as well, right? Where it's not necessarily just about staying with the team, but it can also be more in terms of in regards to kind of like playing at a distance where the enemy dive characters can't necessarily afford to dive me is one way we could also potentially look at it as well. But also, we also need to look at the enemy team composition and say, okay, well, if they don't have dive heroes, then it means that I should take a little bit more advantage of the space that's given to me and whatnot, right? Or if the enemy dive heroes are all the way across the map, then I don't have to worry too much about being too far away from my team in a lot of regards, right? So there's a lot of kind of things that we can do to kind of readjust that situation, right? But mainly when we're thinking about kind of how we want to play hit scan, right? We're thinking there's going to be a couple of things that are important. We 100% we need to take a strong off angle, right? That plays to our range, right? So give us those open sight lines that we would want. And then from there, we're just looking to do damage. Whatever is easiest thing for us to shoot, whatever is the easiest thing for us to deal damage to, we just do a bunch of damage. Just constantly keep outputting a whole bunch of damage because that's what Hitscan is really good at doing, right? So let's try. We're gonna try and see how we can optimize those certain things and try and you know optimize your positioning to those regards as well, and hopefully I can
All right.
teach you and allow you to kind of understand a lot more deeper concepts as to how this positioning system even works in the first place, right? And what actually happens and how this works, right? So first of all, one second, I'm gonna turn down my audio a little bit because it just went to 100%. I don't like that. Come. Oh my goodness. Oh, because I closed the game. I forgot. I have to do my settings again. Don't worry about it. Come. Right. Okay. Sheets Tracer. I'm gonna just keep looking at this for a second. Okay, like this, like this. And then we're just kind of dealing with the tracer and whatnot. Okay.
Wait, sorry, are you sharing your screen? Because I'm not
Oh my
seeing
gosh,
it.
did I do that again?
I was
Ugh.
really confused.
Oh my goodness. Every time. I do this every time. Okay. Let me just go back over here. Everything is fine. Okay. Now, I do have a little bit of a question for you. In like, in regards to like just a certain thing. Okay. So, uh, off angles. You know how off angles are strong, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Can you explain to me why off angles are strong?
Because usually if they're not looking at you, you get one free shot or a couple of free shots before they actually like kind of figure out where you're at. It's
Okay.
kind of the element of like surprise.
Okay, okay. That's an answer that I hear often, but it's definitely not the full picture, right? There's a little bit more to the reason why off angles are extremely powerful, and I kind of want to see if you can figure this out. What else could you tell me about how strong off angles are, or about like things that you could do with off angles?
Um, I guess when you're at that off angle, you know like that part of the map you have control of, so you're kind of safe and you kind of have a better idea of where the enemy team is at.
Okay, okay. So what kind of makes playing at an off angle a little bit safer?
Um, you're kind of surrounding the enemy in some way.
Okay, okay. All right, sure, sure. Um, how do I say this? So you're surrounding the enemy in some way. How does surrounding the enemy, or more importantly, what do you do when you're surrounding your enemy? What are you doing when you're surrounding the enemy that makes off angles super strong? Right. What does that do?
Um, I guess the enemy has to either look at you or look at your team, and they have to pick one.
Right. Right. That's one of the big pillars. That's one of the big reasons as to why off angles are super strong, because they have to look. They can't look at two different directions at once. They look at you. They look at your team. They can't look at both. And if they can't look at both, they can't shoot at both. Right. So it means that the attention is split. The amount of damage and pressure is split between multiple different directions. Right. And if both of you and if the enemy team doesn't have any off angles, right? You know, can you shoot both you and from your angle and both your team from their other angle can shoot at them, right? So if you have more off angles than they do, they have to split their attention more, whereas you don't have to do the exact same thing, right? So that's
Yeah.
going to be one big thing. But there's another pretty big reason as to why off angles are extremely important. You kind of slightly touched on it a little bit earlier when we were talking about surrounding them, but there's a little bit more. There's one more reason, one more key idea. What do you think?
Um, I think I did talk about like the map control. If not, then
Okay, okay. Map control. So can you like elaborate on map control more? What does off angles do? Having an off angle do in terms of your map control?
mm, it kind of like I know there's a safe path for me to get out
Mm-hmm.
if I'm on the off angle because I know I already cleared it on the way there,
Okay.
so I can fall back
Okay.
safely.
Sure. That's true. That's a part of it, right? Let me kind of ask you this. Right. Okay. Let me just kind of go into this. Okay. So, right. Let's pause about here. Right. So you would be at an off angle to your jetpack cat. You would assume, yes.
Yes.
Okay. So let's look at this jetpack cat for a second. What can this jetpack cat see?
The Tracer, the Doom, and the Mizuki.
Right, correct. Okay, now let's switch it over to you. What can you see?
Um, their enemy backline.
Right. Okay, so this jetpack cat, from the position that they are currently in, can only see like these three targets, right? Okay,
Yep.
but you, being on a different angle from that jetpack cat, can now see their entire enemy backline and their Doomfist, right? Their jetpack cat can see the Doomfist, but you can see their backline, which the jetpack cat wasn't able to see before, right? Okay?
Yeah.
So that means if jetpack cat can't see the enemy backline, can jetpack cat interact with the backline? Can they extend their control over that space?
Nope.
No. But can you?
Yeah, I can kind of pressure them from my angle.
Right. So that's going to be an extremely important thing. Now, here's another one. What can't you see?
I can't see the Tracer.
Right. Okay. So from the angle that you're currently on, even though it's a bigger angle and it's a stronger angle, even this has some limitations in terms of what you can see. But being on the off angle from that, your team and your jetpack cat can interact with this and can extend their control over this space when you can't. Right? So, in terms of map control and understanding that, it allows you to extend your control over more space and divergent sight lines around the map, different sight lines from the rest of your team, right? While simultaneously being able to divert attention in multiple directions, right? So, if we're talking about why off angles are so strong, it's allows us to control more space and to divert more attention, and both of these things, save for like the element of surprise or whatnot, right, are going to be extremely powerful in all situations, right?
Yep.
So if we're talking about off angles are extremely important, extremely strong, and we're going to be focusing on the map control aspect of off angles a lot, and we're going to try and focus on how we can kind of go about utilizing them and dealing with them. But like you see how you can extend your control over that backline, right? you're also your team is also trying to push out that tracer, but now you can immediately go into kind of control even more space, right? Okay, right now we're gonna keep kind of moving this forward a little bit, right? You go take this angle. We like to see it. We like to see it. We like to see it. Okay. Now even here, within this regard, right? I'm fighting the Emre, and I'm going to be fighting the Zenyatta soon. Can my team extend their control over that space? Can they see that? Can they shoot that?
No.
No. Is this going to be important for them to shoot, though?
If I get someone low, my team could help me, but in this angle they can't.
They can't help you, no. But let's say what happens if we don't shoot at these people? What are they going to do?
But they're gonna take the space and have an off angle on my team.
Right. They take the space, and then they're going to be able to have an off angle on your team. It's not going to be necessarily immediate, but it's still going to be possible and still going to be there. The threat's still there. So if I don't fight them on this angle now, I'm just going to have to fight them on the angle later anyway. Right?
Yeah.
So the idea is, because I'm playing on this off angle now, because I'm controlling this space now, I'm stopping them from being able to take this space and control this space from me later. And this is going to be an incredibly important reason as to why taking off angles are important. However, okay, we are on the high ground right here. We see the Zen, we see the Emre, and then we decide to kind of drop off. I feel like this was kind of, not necessarily warranted. I think you can utilize this. If you walk over here, this kind of blocks like a majority of that sightline off, so you can still see that. It's a little bit more map specific thing. But even going along with that, when we drop, you see how we're kind of a lot closer and more inside towards our team,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So now that we've kind of talked about the advantages of off angles, can you remind me of what those advantages are? The two ones.
Um, it doesn't let the enemy take an off angle. It kind of denies them.
Uh-huh. Right.
And the other one was, I think, so that I can see the back line.
Okay. Right. So that's kind of, both of them are kind of the same there, where it's like you're controlling the map, where it's like, okay, I can see the backline, I can control the backline, but I can also see the off angle as well, and I can stop them from taking the angle as well. That's a big part of map control as well, in terms of like controlling the lane that they're actually using to get to your backline. That's going to be important too. But there's also one more thing to that, which is kind of aligned with the first thing that you said, right? Which was, do you remember?
Um, Not really.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Right. You were talking about diverting attention, right? Oh,
Uh-huh.
okay. Sorry about that. Okay. We were talking about diverting attention, right? So the thing is, it allows you to extend more control more of the map, and also divert attention, right? So if we look at those two things, right, those two advantages that the map gives us, right? Now that we have lost this off angle and that we are going closer and closer to main, right? What could we potentially see as being problematic with that? What would the problems be? What would the consequences of this be?
The enemy walking up to the right side, but I wouldn't know because I'm not looking at it.
Right. Okay. Can't control this at all. So they can take as much space as they want. That's one. Okay. Now going into the other thing, now it's going to be harder for us to divert attention. How is that going to be problematic?
Any team can, they won't look at me as a threat anymore. They can just focus on like one target, like my tank or something.
Sure, sure, and I think that that's true, but I think that's kind of more tied into the fact that you can't really control this map space, right? Now, taking yourself out of just specifically this situation, and let's think in a little bit more of a general context, right? If we're talking about in a general context, and let's say that they have an Ash as well, right? Or yeah, no, let's say they have an Ash, and let's say that this Ash is standing where this Doomfist is, right? Okay? If they wanted to throw a dynamite onto your jetpack cat, Who would that likely hit as well?
Me.
Right. Okay. What if instead of a dynamite, they just started shooting at your jetpack cat and then the jetpack cat ran away? How far would they have to move their crosshair to start shooting at you if they were potentially like over here?
Not that far since I'm stacked with him.
Right. So in a sense, because of the fact that we gave up that angle and we compressed our angle even more, right? If the enemy is going to deal damage to us from any direction, they're also going to have an easy access to our team and vice versa. If they shoot at your team, they're also going to have an easy access to you, right? That access becomes harder to have when you have more of an off angle, but now that we've given up the off angle, we might see a situation in which we get hit with a bunch of damage that we can't mitigate, right? So if we're trying to look for symptoms of poor off angles in a lot of cases, what we will look for is if we're taking a bunch of random unnecessary damage or if we can't see anything to shoot at anything. So let's kind of see how you kind of respond to this current situation. Oh, would you look at that? Now, am
Yeah, I
I a
think I took
fortune?
like two M grenades and I got exploded.
Right. Like, am I a fortune teller? No. But the thing is, it's really easy because again, where were these nades going to go? Where else could these nades have possibly gone? Right? Like nowhere. He's not throwing this in any direction. Is he throwing them here? No, because no one's there. Like, is he throwing them over here? No, because no one's there. Right? He's throwing them where
Hmm.
all of the enemies are going to be. Right? Which is going to be on you. Now, what if you are over here in this angle and he decides to throw them on you? Okay, whatever. Well, is that going to have any chance of at all at damaging this?
No.
No. Right? So even then, even if it was in that situation, even if he, kind of decided to throw the grenades at you if you were on like an angle like this, right? Which this is just hypothetical. But even if you were in a position like this, still going to be better because now there's significantly less of a chance of that AOE damage going to anything else, right? But more importantly than just specifically that, once the bomb goes off, why is the tracer here immediately onto you?
Because I'm just in the middle of my team. He was just gonna contest my team, but I happen to be there.
Right, right. But wait a minute. Isn't this tracer like a dive threat? Isn't she like a flanker, right? So didn't we say that okay, if we're playing against flankers and dive threats that, stacking with our team makes us safer? Well, do you feel safer right now?
No.
No. Right. And this is going to be a really important concept to understand is that playing against dive, stacking with your team to have team support can do some things in the short term to keep you alive, to extend the duration of you being alive in a lot of cases. The problem is that that doesn't work every time. And a big reason as to why that doesn't work every time, and a big reason as to why it's so problematic, is that if we kind of look at this situation, why was this tracer able to get over here? Who's controlling this space?
No one.
No one, right? So this tracer just sees an easy free avenue to blink in to start dealing damage because again, they were not contested at all coming into this area. Now, could you have contested them? Maybe. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's efficient, but if instead we just shifted over here onto this side of the map to contest this, right, Tracer would at least have to go a farther distance to access me, or would probably just try to shoot at something else anyway, right? And if something else tried to shoot, if they tried to shoot at like Jetpack Cat for instance, then Jetpack Cat would have space to give, right? Because Jetpack Cat could come this way to avoid the tracer and be fine. If in this situation, since you're here now, why is Jetpack Cat coming over here this way a little bit more dangerous if they're trying to avoid the tracer?
Hmm. Wait, sorry, could you say the last part again?
Right? Okay. So if the tracer if you were still up here on this angle, right? Tracer
Yeah.
could try to shoot at Jetpack Cat instead of you, right? Because of the fact that Jetpack Cat's closer, right? But if you were there controlling the space, Jetpack Cat could just fly away over here and have space to give up to deal with the tracer, right?
Mm.
But now that you are down here, why would Jetpack Cat moving over here in this direction be a lot less safe?
Because it's kind of sandwiched
Sandwiched between what?
two different enemies.
Right? Like you got Tracer over here, sure, but if we turn around, Emre's still going to be here. Zen's going to be here in a second potentially, right? Like
Yeah,
becomes a lot more dangerous for the Jetpack Cat to be over here because Emre can then just like go over here and start shooting at Jetpack Cat, right? So again, it's the way that you kind of take space, control space, hold space, and make more space for yourself and your team is by taking off angles. Now, does that mean that you have to go all the way out here? No, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go all the way out here. Just like even taking a small, slight off angle that allows you to control some alternative space is going to be good, right? You can still stay close enough to your team for them to be able to support you, but it doesn't mean that you want to be necessarily inside the middle of your team. Okay, and we can
I
look at
see.
some ways of which we can extend our ability to control space and see some areas in which we might have had problems because we weren't controlling certain amounts of space earlier on in the fight, especially against dive characters. That's the number one way you deal with them is by controlling their space first, marking their angles first before they pull the trigger and start diving onto you. Okay.
Yeah. But sorry, my thought process for me dropping down from the top was actually because I knew that Zen and Emre had both looked at me already.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of knew where I was at. So I kind of have this habit where if multiple people know where I'm at before the fight, I try to change my angle. I think that's kind of what I tried to do. So was actually staying on the angle a better choice?
Okay.
Like even though despite them already knowing that I'm there.
Okay. All right. That I've heard that kind of sentiment multiple times from a lot of people when it comes to like, okay, utilize the informational advantage, utilize the fact that they don't know that you're there or something like that. But I really I agree that informational advantages and trying to like, be a little bit stealthy with your angles is a good idea and it's a good benefit. I heavily disagree with a lot of those people in terms of how, that being a really, really major important part of your gameplay to be worth the concept of giving up the angle and giving up the control of the over that space. Right?
I see.
Is it important, to be stealthy at a lot of times? To not show yourself unnecessarily? Yes, that could be very powerful. But just because some people see you and see your position and know where you are doesn't necessarily always mean that I have to give up that position. Because again, let's say like for instance, the one widow spot on Havana, right? You know the spot where widowmakers always sit at and then just like take your head off from like miles away across the map. If if you're playing widowmaker and somebody spots you in that angle, are you going to move from a position like that?
No, probably just maybe a second of not peeking.
Right. You might not peak, but you're still going to be there because it's like one of the most powerful power positions in the entire game for your character, right?
Yeah,
Just putting that in a smaller context, that position over here on this angle on the map was a very powerful sightline for you and your character, right? Especially in comparison to the enemy team. Like, who would have had the better position here? Emre just peeking over here on this corner, or you with the high ground and the pillar for cover, right? Controlling all of the space with this long sight line at this long range. Like, probably you, right? You have a whole lot of the tools here. So why would I give all of that up just because someone saw me? You get what I mean?
yeah,
Right? Now, I'm glad that you did say that because that allows me to kind of explain things a little bit easier. Okay? Right. Also, just adding on to that, if you do want to be kind of stealthy and cautious with how you do it, with how you play, right? Take the angle, just don't peek until you have the opportunity to use it, right?
Okay.
Because then that makes a little bit more sense, and that's a little bit better. Okay. Now, this angle here. Is this angle in a second going to be very valuable for you and your hero?
I saw that my team was pushing forward, so I guess kind of like a squishy would like try to go back towards the back of the point.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
why I came here.
Is that likely? Is that likely to happen?
I wouldn't say very, very likely, but there's a like 50% chance maybe.
Okay. I would say probably a little bit higher than 50%, but I'd say that it's likely enough, right? So this makes sense. This definitely makes sense to try and go over here, right? Now, my question is, if you don't see anybody, what are you going to do,
Maybe push deeper towards the back to go behind them.
right? What would happen if you were here,
Enemy team would have to either look at me or my team at the front.
right? How much space would you be controlling right here?
Quite a lot because the whole that side of the map I would know is cleared.
Right, right, right. So we start over here and on this side of the map. We see that there's nobody here, and that we see that there's nobody here. So we don't go back to our team. We take even more space, and we get even greedier and greedier with it, right? Okay. So what
Yeah.
happens if Tracer or Doomfist or somebody comes back over here in order to push you out? Is that bad?
Not necessarily because I'm taking their attention away from the fight.
Right. So what would your team do if Tracer and Doomfist ran back over here?
They would just kind of walk their support back line down.
Right, right, right. Okay. So given the situation, if you execute this properly, right, deepening the angle is going to be extremely powerful and extremely valuable here, especially if you see people to shoot people. Problem is, we went back here. We compressed the angle again, right?
Yeah, I think because I thought that kind of Zen saw me already, so they kind of knew that I was coming.
Mm-hmm.
So I was my brain kind of just the information thing again that I should change to go back to my team because he kind of would have guessed that I would have flanked the long way.
Right, right. But again, if we think about it, and if we kind of think about it in terms of like your positions in the space that your team's taking, right? I'm pretty sure that you're familiar with the concept of lanes already, right?
Um, Not formally defined, but kind of in general, I guess.
Right. Okay. So just to give a basic rundown, Overwatch generally has like a three-lane system, right? Where there's three general paths that you can take to go anywhere on and any side of the map, right? This would be kind of like the right lane over here. Then you would go main or whatnot, and then you could go to the left lane over this way and whatnot. There's not formally defined kind of lane a lot of times. The lanes kind of open up and close and do random weird things, but in general, the idea is that you can kind of split up the map mainly into left, right, and main a lot of the times. Now, when it comes to the concept of lane control, the idea is that if this tracer or is going, I think tracer is a perfect example of this. If this tracer is going to go into your backline, they are going to do it by the means of going through one of these lanes, either straight through here, right, around here, right, or they're going to go this way, right? If
Yep.
you intercept that tracer first, it means that she cannot use this lane to go into your backline and hit your backline, right? So if you are
Yeah.
controlling this lane, that is limiting the tracer's ability to keep on going and deeper. Now, the reason why I'm saying all of this is because lane control is your solution to enemy off angles. If enemies are trying to take an angle, the best way to stop them from doing that is taking that angle first and fighting them for it. However, if we switch lanes, if we just kind of pick ourselves up and put ourselves over here, what happens to this lane here?
We lose control.
We lose control of it, which allows this tracer to kind of swing in deep into the backline and get to where she wants to be, right?
Yeah.
Now, you can swap angles to a degree, right? Where it's like this angle versus this angle are a little bit different, right? It's not necessarily the same, but at least do we still have control over the same general lane? Practically, right? Pretty much.
Yeah.
We have the same general control over the same area of the map. If we switch lanes entirely, not only are we foregoing control over this side of the map, but again, if your team is playing this correctly as well, if you decide to control this lane out here, what are your teammates going to decide to do with the other remaining two?
They would just push.
Right. Okay, so they're going to try and control this lane and this lane as well. They're going to spread out their control as well as they deem fit in order to be able to like kind of control as much of the map as we can, right? When you swap lanes over from here and say, okay, I'm deciding that I don't want to be on this lane anymore, and I swap over here to another lane, right? What happens to the teammates who are already on this lane that you've kind of swapped to? Are they going to swap to and fill the lane that you're at right now?
Don't think so.
No, they're probably just going to stack here. But what's the problem with stacking a whole bunch of people on one lane?
Like random spam damage or enemies not worrying about any other angle.
Exactly. Exactly right. And this is a big part of the reason as to why when you have a lane, a big kind of rule of thumb generally is when you have a lane and when you're about to get into a fight, you have to pick a lane that you're going to use and you're going to commit to it, right? You're going to move up and down on that lane as necessary, sure, taking different angles that you see fit, but generally speaking, this lane becomes your lane until no fight is going to be happening or no one can kind of punish any form of other rotation, right? Because if we give this lane up, we are compressing our Langle only for the enemy to just get another lane for free, right?
I see. Okay.
Okay, so we compress back here. We do some more damage, but we don't do that much. We don't do that much. We don't do that much, and we get stuck. Is this incredibly super duper unlucky? Yeah, but if we really think about it, where else could this pulse bomb have gone? Right?
Yeah. My whole team was there.
Right. Exactly. Yep, you definitely are on fire, Tracer. Okay. Fight over here. Nice, nice. We see them, we shoot at them. We deal a bunch of damage out here. Now, we might not necessarily want to run directly into this, right? But I would still stay here at least and wait for this lane to kind of keep opening up and still keep playing on that lane. But instead, we kind of compressed. We did get something to shoot at though, but still a little. He still wasn't. It's not necessarily the most optimal. We definitely could have shot it a lot from over here, and like killed this easier, damage that, killed that and that, right? Those things were gonna die either way. But also, I do want to kind of look at this Doomfist punch. 2 people with 1 punch. Man, that sucks. If only there was a way for only one person to get hit by a punch. Maybe something else could have taken an off angle, right? And that's the idea.
I see. I see.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. Okay. Shooting here, shooting here, shooting here. How valuable is this angle for you?
Um, Pretty good because they were all crossing,
Mm-hmm.
and they either had to get to point or fight me here on this angle.
Right, right, right. This angle is very open for you, right? Very, very open, long sight line. It's really, really strong. If the enemy tries to walk in and trying to contest you from here, they're not going to be able to do so incredibly easily. And if the Doomfist tries to extend himself out here in order to push you, you can pretty much reasonably deal with that by using your legs and just running away.
Yeah.
I think it should be fine. However, again, it's really important to kind of note here that a big part of the reason as to why this angle feels really comfortable is because of the distance that you have from the enemy team right now, right? So if that distance kind of changes, we can adapt to that, and I'm going to try and see if I can show you how to adapt to that change in distance as well. Okay. Doom ran this way. Okay. I think if you see yourself over here being here with this Mizuki, right? Do you think that you can reasonably try and deal damage, or at least try and pressure this Doomfist out in some respect?
Yeah, definitely. I think the 2v1 is very possible.
Yes. Yes. Will you get the kill? Probably not, but at least you can earn this space. Okay. Is running away and making some distance from this Doomfist a good idea?
Um, Probably yes.
Probably, right? Not necessarily completely leaving the angle, but just making some distance so that you can just kind of fight him, pressure him, and hold him down or pin him down in a corner or something like that, right? Without taking too much damage yourself. Problem is this the way to make the distance?
No, because I'm stacked out in my team again. I should have gone the other way so
Right,
that he has to choose either me or my team.
right. Imagine we're back here and we're shooting at this Doomfist, applying pressure to this Doomfist, right? What do we do once this Doomfist is out of this position? Once he goes back to his team?
Then we can push forward on the same kind of lane and keep the lane.
Keep the lane, push forward on the lane, take the space, and then
Yeah,
look at how beautiful this damage could be, right? 100%. Okay, that's something to note too, and also noting the fact that you pretty much have left your Mizuki to the wolves right here,
oh
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, I kind of knew that Doomfist probably had out because he didn't use it a few fights.
Hmm.
So I thought he was just gonna all in me.
Right. Well, but here's the thing: if we don't fight the Doomfist here, what's he going to do?
Um, Probably kill my Mizuki, then take this space.
Right? Even if he didn't kill your Mizuki, right? He would still take the space and he would still push the fight this way. And if he's not down any resources or any important cooldowns, right? Then he's just going to do the same thing that you were avoiding happening here over here. But the difference is he's going to be able to do it to 5 people as opposed to 2. Right? So if we want to stop him from being able to hit a big 5-man punch, right? Or a big 5-man ult, a Doom ult, which should never be possible. I shouldn't even have the thought in my brain, right?
Yeah,
But if we want to avoid that happening, the fight needs to happen away from the clump, right? So we need to
yep,
start fighting him here. Okay? Right? We see how we're not really doing anything. We can't really see anything. We can't really shoot anything, and everything kind of sucks. Right? And then we kind of run over back here for a tracer or something like that. How much stuff have we done in this fight just over here?
nothing. Very
Nothing.
much.
Right? Okay. Now, I want to see if I can kind of explain another particular concept to you. Right? Which is talking about the reason why it's important to stay in a position like this. Okay?
Mhm.
Right? Now, if we kind of... Actually, I'm going to just play this a little bit more. And I'm going to play this a little bit more back when we're over here. Right? Okay. From this position, can you deal damage to the enemy team? Could you potentially deal damage to the enemy team?
Nope.
I mean, yeah, no, not right now exactly, but let's say the Doomfist kind of peaks a little. Could you do some damage?
Yeah, there'll be a hook, I guess.
Right, right, right. Okay. What happens when they move outside of your line of sight?
Then I can't do anything.
You can't do anything, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, here's the deal though. Like if I'm kind of out here, right? They move away from my line of sight. They can't do anything. If I was potentially like just not even changing, not even like doing too much in terms of like angles and whatever and positioning. Just bear with me in terms of like this hypothetical here, right? If I was here, if the fight moved, would I be able to move with it relatively easier?
Yes.
Yes. What changes between this position back here and this position over here?
Just how far I'm away from the fight.
Right, right. Okay. I have found a cool, fun, a little analogy for this concept that I'm about to tell you right here. Right? Team fights are like a bus, right? If we are too far away from the bus, right, we will miss the bus when it moves, right? The bus stop is
Yeah.
here. We want to be on the bus. We don't want to be behind the bus chasing it, right? Because then we miss our stop. If we look at what you're doing over here, we're kind of missing the bus right now,
Yeah.
right? Now we're kind of there, and then it's moved, and then our entire team's dead, right? And
Yeah.
again, along with that, why is it really important to be contributing to this fight right now?
Um, because our team's all economy is a lot down. Is
Okay.
that it?
Well, I think that's a part of it, but if we can put this into a significantly more general sense, right? They are taking a practically a 4v5 right now, right?
Yeah.
If we
True.
don't do anything, then they are going to be losing out on this resource trade like until we actually get there, right? So right now, us being too far away from the fight, us missing the bus stop here is essentially making these guys take a whole lot more damage than we could help them mitigate by dealing damage back ourselves. Okay. Now, let me kind of talk about this. So we're coming back here, and you're playing essentially like on this position here. Okay. This position that you're at right now, controlling this base, you kind of like it? Does this feel a little alright?
Yeah.
Okay, let's pick you up and put you right here. What's the problem?
1v5.
You're 1v5ing, right? Can your teammates reasonably help you and support you from over here?
Nope.
No. Okay. And then what changed between this position and this position back here?
My proximity from my team.
Right. Well, not just your proximity from your team, right? Because again, let's say I picked you up and I kind of put you all the way back over here, right? Would it still be a 1v5 in this instance? Or actually, if I kind of put you even farther back, like maybe over here, would it still be a 1v5 in this instance?
If they all turn, then yeah.
Maybe, maybe. But if your team is playing, actually, no, your team is playing really, really far away, right? So let's say that your team was like right here, for instance, right? Like let's say that your team was like right here in this position, and you're all the way back over here. This is kind of feeling like missing the bus a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it's not necessarily about being with your team or your proximity to your team, right? But more importantly than just the proximity to your team, what like it being me being here, okay, your team's back here now, they're back in safety now, don't worry about it, you don't have to worry about them anymore. Right?
Okay.
Okay, but what about being here? What about my proximity here? My proximity to what is the problem?
My proximity to
If it's not my
um
team, it's what?
the enemy team.
Right. Right. Is this really close to the enemy team?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And what is the problem? What's the danger of being way too close to the enemy team?
Just all five of them looking at me.
Right. Not only just them looking at you, this is them walking on you. They're stomping all over you. That's what this is going to be.
Yeah.
Right. And then your team isn't going to be able to move. To put this into the bus analogy, this is you walking in the front of the bus before it moves. What happens when you walk in front of a bus before it moves?
He ran down.
You get ran over, right? So this is walking in front of the bus. We don't want to be in front of the bus. Now, how do we know where the bus is? Right? How do we know where the bus is? Well, okay, if I'm here or maybe if I'm here, right? And my team is still where they are, is this Doom going to walk at me or my team?
Me.
Right?
Definitely.
If I'm back here, who's this Doom going to walk on? Me or my team?
My team.
Right? Okay. So why would the Doom walk on me instead of my team when I'm over here?
because I'm alone and easy target.
right? Right. More than just being a loner and easy target, right? But like think about it more. What's this Doom really thinking? What's going through this Doom's head? Right? Why would he go for something over here instead of my team?
Free target. I don't know, he's
Sure.
feeding.
Okay, let's kind of put a pause on that because again, if I'm over here, I'm alone, but I'm not a free target, am I?
No,
No. What makes me more free? What makes me less free here than when I'm up here?
whether he can like easily get to me with a cooldown.
Okay, or more importantly, even if he's just using his legs instead of a cooldown, right? What's the difference? What is the difference between your positions?
Whether he can see me.
Okay, well, sure, but let's say that even if there weren't any walls over here, he's still not going to dive you if you're all the way back here, right? He's going to
Yeah.
focus your team. So what specifically makes this a lot more accessible than something back all the way over here? What about this is worse? It makes this more accessible?
Oh, hmm.
It's really easy. Don't fry your brain about it. Just think simple.
I can die. I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you want me to kind of help you out a little bit here?
Yeah, because I think what goes through my mind is just like it's either I'm isolated or I'm with my team or it's like a 1v5. Those are the kind of things that I've thought of.
Right. But let's just talk about proximity, right? How close are you?
Very,
Very. How close are you?
not very.
Not very, right? So I'm not close. They're going to be like, whatever, I don't care. The second that I get close, they're going to be like, ooh, fresh meat, right? Easy free kill. Okay. Now, what distance am I safe? What do you think?
Kind of mid to long range ish, where they can't get to me by just walking. They have to use like some cooldowns.
Okay,
They have to commit to the
maybe,
guy.
maybe, but there's still a chance in some of those situations where they will kind of walk on you, and it'll still be problematic, right? You're going to get cleared out of your position, which will be bad. Okay. Now, I want us to know exactly which situations those are, and there's a big kind of key factor here that's going to determine whether or not that you're going to be in that situation or not. And I want to kind of explain it to you, right?
Okay.
So let's think about this. Okay, let's replace our team and me and put in practice training bots, right? So hero specifics, number of players, we don't care. There's a practice training bot here, and there's a practice training bot where I am out here, right? Let's assume that. Okay. This is practice training bot A. Over there is practice training bot B, right?
Yep.
Which practice training bot is this Doomfist going to shoot at and kill first? A or B?
A.
Right? I put myself back here. Which practice training bot is Doomfist going to shoot first? A or B?
As in this one is A or is this
Yeah,
one B?
the one where my camera is A.
Definitely B.
Definitely B. Okay. What about now? A or B?
Still B.
What about now? A or B?
Is still B.
Okay.
Until he can see me.
Okay. Even if he potentially could see me, right? Wouldn't it still be B?
Yeah.
Right? Because B is more accessible than A. At what point do I start becoming more accessible?
Um,
What point do I start becoming more accessible to this Doomfist than B? Take walls out of the equation, take line of sight out of the equation, right? At what point do I become an easier thing to walk on?
when it doesn't take too much time to kill me instead of going to the point.
Okay, okay. Well, we can even just ignore a point. Let's say that his objective is to kill one of us, right? But like that was a really good thing when he doesn't take too much time. So what determines how much time he's going to take?
How out of the way I am
Yeah,
to like,
yeah.
yeah,
How far you are. Now look at if you said that over here A was going to be less accessible than B, right?
yeah,
Okay. Now look at how far away Doom is from B, and look at how far away Doom is from A. Okay. A is a lot farther than B is to him. We go all
yeah,
the way over here. A is significantly closer than B is. So then who's Doom going to go for?
A.
A. Okay? So then at what's the point in which the distance changes? What's the point in which A doesn't become close anymore?
Doesn't become close anymore.
At what is the distance where A doesn't become closer to Doomfist than B?
Is it the range of his E?
No, well, no. Think about it. Think about it. Right? Okay. We're talking about distance from A to B. Hold on 1 second. Let me get this. Let me get this out. Let me get out the pen here and let me set this up. I need to get out the pen. Pen's coming out. Okay. Let me just do this real quick. Okay. Okay. So let's zoom out. Right? Let's zoom out. Okay. We're zooming. All right. So let's say where you are is B and A is out here, right? Looking at distance here versus distance here, right? Which one's farther away?
A by a lot.
A by a lot, right? Okay. Which means A is a lot more accessible, right? So if we put A down here, who becomes more accessible, A or B?
A.
Right? A becomes a lot more accessible now, right? Okay. So at what distance do we need to go before A becomes less accessible than B?
When it's further than B.
When it's further than B, right? So at what is the exact point when A is going to be further than B? When do you think?
But is it not just when A is further? I don't quite understand, sorry.
Okay, no. So it's when A is further, right? But if where's the exact point that we need to go to before A becomes further than B? This is just a little bit of math here, right? So if we're talking about numbers, let's put the numbers to a distance, right? Let's say that this is okay. Let's say that A is we can say A over here, and we're gonna make it all mathy. We're gonna make it really really mathy, and we're gonna say A prime, right? Okay,
Okay.
okay, right. So let's say that B is 5 units of distance away, right? The distance between
Yeah.
Doom and A, let's say, is 2 units of distance, right? And let's say that the distance all the way out here, I'm going to make this as mathy as I can and make a squiggly bracket, right? Let's say that distance out here is like 10, right?
Yeah.
10 is bigger than 5 is bigger than 2, right? Okay? So at what point
Okay.
does 2 become bigger than 5?
When there's more than three.
Huh?
No, as in when it's three more units on top
Right. So when
of A.
2 so 2 plus 3. What does 2 plus 3 equal?
Five.
5, which is the same as
B.
right. So if we're trying to say at what distance does A become less accessible, it's going to be the same distance as B, right?
Uh,
And that's the key idea. I'm sorry, I kind of bullied you here. I kind of bullied you here a little bit with the math. I
it's
apologize.
okay.
I
Got my
apologize.
brain frying.
I know. I like doing that. I like making people's brains fire. It's a little sadistic pleasure of mine. Um, but the idea is
Um,
the general rule of thumb is if you want to know how far away that you want to be from a fight before you're too accessible, you want to be at the same around the same relative distance to the enemy team as the rest of your team is, right? And the reason why is because if you become closer than your team, then you get walked on, right? If you're farther away than your team, then your team gets walked on and then you can't catch up. If you're farther away from the enemy than your team is, you're missing the bus. If you're closer to the enemy than your team is, then you're getting run over by the bus. So if you want to be on the bus, you want to be at around the same relative distance as the rest of your team, right?
also, it's just like maintain the same radius around the enemy team, like a
Right.
circle.
Right. Pretty much. Pretty much.
Okay.
Right? The reason why I kind of went all did the whole entire spiel is so that it would just be a little bit more memorable and easier to understand. Right?
It was.
Okay. But what this essentially means though is that now we kind of have a framework for understanding the distance that we need to be playing at when we're positioning, right? Which is going to tell us how we're going to be staging for these fights. Okay? So if we kind of look at your distance right now, it would be about the same, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be great. We aren't necessarily going to be getting any closer to the enemy team, right? But this is close enough for us to be able to move with the fight. This is close enough for us to be able to punish anything that we see, any bad plays and bad positioning that we see, right? We're not too far away, but we're also not too close that we're going to start getting run over and walked on, right?
Mm.
Okay.
Yep.
Also, I just have to be cringe for like 5 seconds because I'm just looking at your alt charge right now. Um,
Oh my god.
okay, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Sorry. I will do it again. Um, okay, the Doom decides to kind of walk on you, but again, he doesn't. The thing is, if he gives out space over here, it's going to be easiest for us to take the space back over here because the amount of distance that he has to travel is the same as the amount of distance that we would have to travel. It's the same as the amount of distance his backline would have to travel as well, right?
Yeah.
Come, but we just deal with the Doom. We just deal with the Doom, right? Okay. Now look at how far away we are now. Are we missing the bus here?
Yeah, by a lot.
By a lot. Okay. So if Drunker Queen needs to move away over here or wants to move and walk into to fight somebody, let's say Juno walks this way and Drunker Queen wants to chase after, right? Within the amount of time that it takes for Drunker Queen to move over here, how close could you get to the fight to actually be able to do something?
Barely at the point.
Right. Barely at the point. Like not like pretty much here.
Yeah.
Right? You would still be super duper far away. Right? So
Yeah.
what that essentially means is that if 2 or 3 people wanted to fight this Junker Queen all at once, then they would be able to do so without you being able to actually do anything to support. Because if we're talking about distance here, not only are you too far away, your Genji's also too far away, right? So looking at the fight, because of the fact that you guys are so far out of the fight right now, these guys can afford to send like 3 people to shoot at a Junker Queen and not get punished for it at all,
Yeah.
right? Which is a problem. So that we're going to try and see if we can, you know, fix that issue. But now this becomes a lot easier for you to see. Yippee. Okay? Now, I'm not going to say to a significant degree that this is okay, I'm not going to say that this is the best situation, right? Because again, we're a little bit early in our timing here of when we're trying to be doing things, but we see an opportunity to say whatever. It's fine. Whatever we need to do, right?
Mm.
We could get this in here. This is going to be this is within our ability to be able to do, right? So if we consider our Genji as the rest of our team here, right? Hypothetically, would we be at a pretty similar distance to a degree?
Yes, roughly.
Roughly. Very, very hard emphasis on the roughly, right?
Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, oh, that's not what I meant to do. What buttons am I pressing right now? That is not the buttons that I meant to be pressing right now. Come. Come. We go here. Are we playing at our effective range?
Range, effective range against the Zen, I would say yes.
I would say yeah. I would say yeah. I would say this is relatively decently good. Zen can do damage back, but we can still do a sizable amount of damage from this range, reasonably. So this is kind of fine, right? Okay. And now our team is starting to walk up and to deal damage elsewhere as well. So does that mean that are we going to get walked on by this Doomfist, by this Emre, or by the Zenyatta right now?
No.
No, because they have bigger fish to fry than just me,
Yeah.
right? And that's how you can use that to get closer to the enemy team. You use your teammates to be able to get into positions that are within range of being dove. But the idea is that Tracer is, which, oh, you can stand on that thing to get, oh, that's interesting. I
Oh
didn't
my
know
god,
about
I
that.
didn't know that.
That's really interesting. Anyway, Tracer started pushing you over here. Okay? What do you, knowing what you know now, think that you should do?
Just fight the Colosseo and not give up the lane.
Yeah? How much damage did you do to this Tracer? A lot. And she ran. Now, is this perfect space for you to fight a Tracer in? Probably not, so I think being prepared to run is okay. Problem is that,
Yeah, I was thinking she had pulse.
right.
So I wanna run.
Yeah, you were thinking that she had pulse, right? Okay, so you run away, you check if the Tracer's going to be there to pulse you, and then what do you do? What should you do?
If she wasn't chasing, I should have gone back.
Go back.
Because she probably went to get a health pack or
Right,
something.
right,
So
right,
it's
right, right.
fair.
Right. Go back, check if she's there. If not, then use this angle again so that you have the angle to kind of shoot at the rest of the enemy again. But
Yeah.
instead, we do this, and now let's just count the seconds before we were able to actually do anything important. Okay, never mind. It wasn't that long because Tracer did a big oopsie. Right? Okay.
Yeah.
What mistake is this Tracer making?
She's tunneling on me instead of like the fight.
Sure, sure. But more importantly than that, I think she has. Yeah, actually, no, that's kind of true. She does have significantly bigger fish to fry. But more importantly than that, like this is like way too close to be to the main core of the enemy team right now. When the rest of her team is like back here, and whatnot. Now Zen is playing way too close again, but again, that's also kind of his issue as well. There's a lot of times where it's going to be really hard to identify who's playing close and who's playing far because everybody's making a mistake at the exact same time. Um,
Yeah.
but at the same time, this is like Tracer's just going in way too early. This is not her time, nor her place.
Yeah.
So you're able to punish that really easily, right? Jump. So now let's go and find something to do, but you're focusing on this Tracer way too much.
Yeah.
She's out. She's
I was trying to
right.
in my mind I try to clear the dive before it happens.
Yeah,
Because I think that's something I learned back way long back in Overwatch 1.
yeah,
To kind of try to clear the dive before it happens so the dive can't happen.
and that's
But I
true.
think I kind of
Uh huh.
over focus on this chaser too much.
Right.
Chase too far.
Okay. You want to clear the dive before it happens, right? But what are you potentially risking doing now that you're attempting to do this?
Gonna miss the bus.
Right, you are going to miss the bus, and you're going to probably miss it by a lot. Now, do you have legs to run and try and catch it? Potentially, yeah. But even from this giant distance, it's still going to be iffy to try and do it. Now, but sometimes dives and the setups here are really slow. But whatever. Okay. Instead of trying to be over here, right, to try and chase a Tracer to try and punish the setup before it's even done, right? How can we try and see if we can scout and punish the setup while still maintaining a similar distance? Where could we be?
Honestly, the same spot which I was at the previous fight, like this hut.
Right? and then you just check for Tracer here. Can you clear this Tracer before the fight starts from this position?
Probably, yeah.
Probably,
At
yeah.
least force them to go get a health pack or something.
Right. But the idea is that if we try and clear a Tracer out here before the fight starts, then we aren't going to be back before the fight starts. If we try to clear a Tracer out here before the fight starts, then we're going to be able to do everything that we want to do when the fight's happening, and we're going to be able to punish things. The idea of clearing the dive before it happens is trying to make this Tracer go farther away from the fight so that she misses the bus. Right?
I see.
That's how that works. If we are also missing the bus, then that's just a 1-for-1 trade. You guys might as well be doing Torb Hammer 1v1s in spawn.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just it's so funny just looking at you just like scrambling for this Tracer, like where is she? Where is she?
I got pounced twice by now, so I was pretty pissed.
I'm sorry. I just hate I hate this ultimate. So come on, man. Like come on.
She's dumb.
All right. But whatever. Where should we potentially be going here?
Definitely the left side.
Right. Control the space.
Yeah.
Don't leave the space open. Control the space. Tracer came for you this way. You dodged the pulse bomb with your expert clear dodging. That was 100% intentional.
Yes, of course.
Then you go and take the space back, and you start doing things. Congratulations. I appreciate it. I really approve of this. And then what are you doing? Right. Same thing. You're like, oh, but they know where I am. Even knowing where you are, now that you know what you know now, that's okay. That's a word salad. But now that you know that, what danger do you have right here? What danger are you
missing the bus if my team pushes in?
Okay, well, you would have that danger here. But from this position, generally speaking, are you realistically going to be missing the bus to an extensive degree?
Over here, no, probably not.
No, right? More importantly, is the Genji and the Doom, are you going to be the Genji and the Doom's first priority to be cleared out over here? Like, just looking at where the Doom and the Genji are right now, are you their first priority to be cleared out right now?
No, they
No.
can't even see me properly.
Right. You are not their first priority at all. Okay? Can you being here do a whole lot of damage to the enemy backline?
Yeah, if they push up, I get a free angle.
Right. And then this is how you can think about how you start taking your angles. Right? You say, okay, I'm going to just take my space all the way out here. I'm going to deal my damage. I'm going to take all the space that I need to, and then I'm going to start shooting at people. Okay? I can get into the areas in which that becomes a little bit problematic and a little bit later, right? But
Sure.
for now, this is going to be how it kind of works. To be honest, we can kind of. No. I'll just keep looking at this. I'm just keep looking at this code for now. We still get a whole lot of damage, even though we're in main, because at least we're on the bus, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. I think we get it. I think we get that your ultimate is ready. Do you normally spam your alt voice line? Is that a thing that you normally would do?
Only if I want to do something with someone. Like in this case, I was spamming at a cat.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't know if most rank games there's no voice chat, so I just use the spam thing if I want to combo.
And I totally get this, but I do not trust this cat.
Then he dropped me twice. Like after he just drops me and then he left me. I was like, what?
Yeah, I know. I don't trust this cat either. Yeah, this entire fight was just a mess, to be honest.
Yeah,
This
it
entire
was
fight was
pretty
just a
bad.
mess. Okay, we're here. Angle. Good. Okay, we can get better angle, so we go for better angle, right? Nice. Okay. We go here, we see things, but then we're like, oh wait, we can take even more space from this, right? So we take even more space, we get a really good angle, and we kill two. This is what I want to see. This is what I want to see. 100%. Right? Okay. Relative distance. Is it looking okay?
Uh, I guess I'm a little far, yeah. If you take like the centroid of your team,
I mean, you're honestly. I think this is fine. Like you could be potentially close. You could be potentially a little bit too close to the Genji in particular. But I think that if you kind of like hide from the Genji, it's fine. And I don't think that you're far at all, realistically speaking. Because to be honest, majority of your team is like, if we look at this distance back here, right, to the enemy team versus the distance that you have currently, you're a little bit closer, right? I don't know if you see
I
that.
see.
Yeah, you're a little bit closer. But I think that this is fine. I think that this is really fine, and you're going to probably see that in a second. All right? Look at this. You see that? Juno, Zen, far away still. I don't want you to go back. I want you to keep going. I want you to be
Oh,
here. I want you to hit the flank. I want you to hit the back line, and I want you to kill like 13 people. Right? But I want you
yeah,
to do it slowly inching up, taking advantage of this distance here, right? And I want you to take tab of this distance here, the distance between your team and the enemy team's backline. I just want you to maintain that. But as these guys get closer, so can you, right?
yeah,
Then you get onto their backline and then you kill 6 people or 5 people. I forgot there's only 5. Problem is that here there's more space to take. You could have taken advantage of that if you had been here, back here, at this point in time. This would have been insane. Like this would, like the combo with your Genji would have been crazy, right?
yeah.
But we didn't get. We kind of gave up on that opportunity. It's okay. It's okay. We at least are taking advantage of what we have in front of us right now, right? I wouldn't recommend playing all the way back here because this is kind of missing the bus, right?
Mm,
Missing the bus. A little bit closer, but I get it. I get what you were trying to do. You're trying to avoid the Tracer and the Genji and whatnot. But at this kind of rate, we had 3 people there. If we have 3 people there, then it makes a little bit more sense to play a little bit closer, because then you can use them as kind of a little bit more kind of like cover in a sense, right?
yeah,
I wouldn't trust it 100%, and I would back out the second anything gets hairy. But at least try and take the opportunity. We are gamblers here, right? But entire fight was miss the bus, pretty much. That was really good tracking. Wait, hold up. Okay, decent. Yeah, but it ended up working. It's better. I did kind of say play it over here, but again, once our Junker Queen dies, we kind of play farther back here, because like at that point, it's kind of better to be like farther away from the fight than getting too close and dying, right? So if you had to choose between the two, play
yes,
far. This is great. We love this. We love to see it. We love to see it. She tries to fight us, so we just fight her on the angle, and then we just keep fighting her. And we keep doing things, so we keep having fun. Nice job. Right? Now, I think this is going to be where we're going to start to see, because this is when she swaps Diva. And this is when we're going to start to see how your positional things, your positional problems kind of get exposed here. Right?
yeah.
This position, what do you think?
Um, I thought it was okay because I want to be a different angle from my team and
Mm-hmm.
kind of still staring at the main trope while being hard to die.
Yeah, I think this is fine. No, I think this is perfectly fine. Good damage, good damage, good damage. Diva's going to come over this way to try and do damage to you. I don't want you to play too close to the Diva, but I still want you to at least give respect to being on this lane, right? So we're gonna we could probably kind of like play a little bit over here, but I do like the idea of like clearing outside of the Diva being up there, right? Realistically speaking, what I don't like though is us trying to turn our attention over here to try and go all the way from being out here to clearing out this Tracer to a significant degree, right? Because now that we're here, we want to clear the Tracer out, then we want to go right back over here, and we want to go right back into continuing focusing on whatever here was over here on our angle, right? Because this is what's going to be
Yeah.
important for us to control. Control
It's
this
not
right now, because
really.
this is like right
Yeah.
next to you. This is in front of your face, right? But
Yeah.
controlling out here is going to be important. right?
Okay, so should I have stayed on the angle and try to fight Diva, or should I have just like backed off like I did, but
I
went to
think
main?
yes. I think you should have because again, you can't win that fight. So
Yeah.
the diva just kind of gets the angle. Now, is that beneficial for your entire team? Is that optimal? No, it's not. And realistically speaking, if you had like somebody there to support you on that engage to allow you to hold on to that space, that would have been significantly better, right? Like the enemy team has a
Okay.
brig. If you were to have like something similar on that on your team to be able to help you sustain that, that would be how I would work on that from a team perspective. But surprise, surprise, you're playing alone. So in that regard, doing what you did here was fine. We just need to be going with the intent of taking this space back once we can.
Oh, so just wait till Diva kind of turns away from me, then I just take back the lane. I don't
Right.
give up.
Right. If we press this diva back, we can kite space on the lane, right? To give space if necessary. But once we press this diva back, we have to start taking that space back.
I see.
Right.
Okay.
Problem is that we kind of went back over here to this side when Diva herself swapped lanes. The way that you would punish this normally is by going back up here, taking this angle, and then killing their entire team, right? Problem is
Yeah.
that we also swapped lanes ourselves, so now we just put ourselves in a problem where in the same exact issue, right? And now
Yeah. I wasn't
Diva's
aware that
victorious.
Diva even swapped lanes at
Right,
that point. So when I went there, I was like, oh shit.
right. But even still, even if the diva hadn't swapped lanes, still keeping our attention and our attention or keeping our staging in a position such that we can take that lane back once it's open is the important part, right?
I see. Okay. Yeah, sorry, can you give me like 1 minute? Someone's knocking on my door.
Okay,
It'll be
sure.
really quick. So sorry, so sorry.
No, that's fine. Come. All right. Just looking at everything, just making sure everything's okay. All right.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about
All
that.
right. Just give me 1 second. I was just doing something real quick.
Yeah, no.
That's what it was. Okay, never mind. And then do this. And I should be not good because I can't see it anywhere. Oh, no, never mind. There it is. All right, I'm back. Okay, let's just keep looking. Let's just keep looking at all these. Okay, Diva's like 1 HP on point. Whatever, we should just shoot it to them. Just do whatever the heck we do. Nice. Okay, now that we're in this position, right? Enemy's really, really far away. What does the enemy being really, really far away give us the opportunity to do?
Push up and take their space.
Right? But let's say we wanted to take this space out here, right? How would we go about doing that?
Unless my tank is pushing forward, I have to go back and kind of go the long way around.
Right. You have to go back and go the long way around. Now, if the enemy team was right here, would you be able to do that in time?
No,
No, because
they
you'd
would
be
start
missing
the
the
fight
bus.
already.
Right? You'd be missing the bus. Okay?
Yeah.
Now that the enemy team is all the way back here, right, with a lot of their team in spawn, what does that give you the opportunity to do?
Uh, take the left high ground.
Right?
Like take that lane.
Okay. Now you could say that this is a matter of timing, but I don't like trying to put things in terms of a matter of timing. I like putting them in a matter of distance. It's a lot easier to see, right? Because the enemy is far away, it means that me doing this doesn't make me too far away in comparison, right? This isn't a rotation that's too far for me to take, right? However, conversely, if the enemy is close, right, then I wouldn't be making any big rotations. Even if I was on this side and the enemy was right there, I wouldn't even make like rotations like all out the way out to here, right, or all the way over to here and down here, because that would be way too long. But more importantly, I don't like trying because it's going to take too long to take the rotation. I would say the space that I'm trying to get is too far away, and that makes a lot more sense. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so this position out here, too far. When the enemy's close, right? But the enemy's far away right now, so this doesn't feel that far anymore. I can now take that time to take that space. Alright. Okay. And you had so much time. Right?
Yeah, I had a lot.
Okay, so now not only are you on, not even on an angle, but right now you're kind of missing the bus as well, a little bit as well, too. Because people are fighting in front of you, and you're not really able to kind of do anything to support that, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Ouch. Good luck. Okay. This angle feels good. This angle feels good. This feels good. And we fight the tracer. Oh, this is the second cat thing. Okay, I was wondering why you weren't taking.
Yeah, he just dropped me right in the middle.
Yeah, I saw this. Yeah, this is. I don't trust that cat. I don't trust cats in general. Unless I am calming with that cat
Yeah.
on my team, I don't trust the cat.
No, the cat was calling for me to get on, so I just got on.
At that point, I give the cats like one opportunity, and then if the opportunity fails, it's over, and I'm good.
Yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay, and now this one's gonna feel a little bit awkward and uncomfortable for you. That's just getting pulsed. To be honest, you were pretty much on an off angle from your team in general. Like, this is decently decently off angle-ish. This is just you not necessarily knowing where the tracer was, and then the tracer kind of hitting a pulse bomb on you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The reason why I'm saying that that's okay is because you had done the necessary steps such that that would have been harder to do, and given a whole bunch of other different permutations of situations, right? Okay. Position. What do you think?
I think I'm a little bit far because my team's already all the way up. I'm
Right.
like way further than them from the
Okay.
enemy.
You're a little bit far. Here's the thing. I will say that you being a little bit far is a bit subservient to playing to an angle that's going to be beneficial for your hero, because can you interact with the fight to a decent degree right now, and also can you move to a fight to a decent degree with your ability to sprint?
Yes.
Yes, so I think that being a bit far is fine if you are at least able to contribute to the fight and there's not another better position for you to take, realistically speaking. Because we could be here, but then that's kind of compressing our angle a little bit. We could be up here, but then we're getting easily accessed by the enemy team. So at this point, playing over here is kind of fine. But yes, we are a little bit far. But that's not really our problem. Not really our fault right now. Okay. Walking out. Right. Commit to this angle, fight the Tracer here. To be honest, a lot of these things are pretty good from you. Pretty good from you. I don't like that drop, but at the same time, this is not bad. This is not bad. We're here, we're in a position to do damage. They just pop like 30 ults. And I don't think that this is... I think your team just, like, doesn't even touch here.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Okay. Alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find... hold on, let me go get your other code here. A little bit. The Colosseo code. And I kind of want to just, like, look at the Colosseo code a little bit in perspective. And it's going to be a little bit showing you, like, you know, you didn't do that too much wrong. And don't worry about these defeats. Apparently, if you just get, like, second place, it doesn't even count as a victory. So, whatever. These are all visual bugs. I would never lose. I never lose. Never happens. Ah, it already exists. Now I have to go through all of the defeat. I meant the visual bugs in my... Oh, man. Oh, man. Okay. This should be it. This should be your Colosseo game. Yes, it is. Okay. Now. Going here. Between controlling the right side of the map here or the left side of the map here, which one would you choose and why?
Left side, because of the long sidelines. The right side, people just take cover immediately, like after one shot.
Right, right. Controlling left side here makes a lot more sense because you have the long sight lines, right? But when you are controlling left side, how far do you want to go? How much space do you want to take?
Within my hero's kind of effective range.
Sure. The answer that we really want is, or that I really want to hear is the fact that, like, if we want to take space, I'm going to take as much space as they can give me, right? As I reasonably can take, as is possible. So if they leave an inch, then I'll take an inch. If they leave a mile, I'll take a mile. You get what I mean? But again, what we need to do is we need to cognitively be preparing, and we need to be, you know, preparing ourselves to be taking space and looking at where they are and how much space they're giving us constantly, right? We do damage, we do damage, we do damage, we do damage from the angle. Stay on the angle, right?
Okay. I think my thought process was that my diva is DMAC, so they're gonna hard engage with
Yes.
Queen.
Yeah, they will. And the thing is, like, again, so we back off, but we back off. We could still keep doing a couple more damage, a little bit more shots. We start backing up, we start backing up, but we're still keeping the angle, still keeping the angle. Now, reasonably speaking, yeah, you're kind of right. You do probably need to guide a little bit more. And we do. We get an angle, we get some shots off, we get some damage off, right? Okay. And we walk back in. Nice. Good damage, good damage. Keep your attention over here on this angle. This isn't close enough to you to be something that you have to worry about, right? Keep the attention on what's over here that's on the angle. And what I mean by that is you want to be playing to swing as far over here to this side as possible, to take as much space over here on this side as possible, because then that will allow you to have deeper angles on backline. Right, when you can see.
So I should ignore their Junkrat?
Right, because is this on your angle? Is this on your lane? Is this your responsibility to control right now?
No, but I was scared that, like, from where he was at, like, two bombs would just pop me.
Right. Okay, sure. That's a bit scary. Is there bigger fish for him to fry at the moment?
Yeah,
you need to trust in this. There's a low percentage chance that he's just going to be able to kind of gut you, and if he does try to do so, it's going to make it a lot easier for this Emre to kill him. Right?
Okay.
So, reasonably speaking, don't worry about it. But again, there's more onto that, adding on top of that. Don't worry about this. This isn't your problem because, again, This is not on your lane. This is not on your angle. This is not something that you need to be worrying about. What is on your angle, though, is this Junker Queen, which is kind of getting away and getting healed up. So if you can do any additional damage to this Junker Queen or even find an opportunity for it, then sure. If you can't find an opportunity to shoot anything over here, then yeah, you can turn your attention over here, whatever, for like 0.2 seconds. But as soon as an opportunity opens up over here, you need to be prepared for it. Right? Right? Because, like,
Also, basically, I should always just focus on my lane, like 90% of the time.
Except with the exception of if something gets close enough to you to do something, right? Junkrat
Okay.
is not close enough to you for him to be a problem. But if something is right here, right, like, or even just like generally like speaking right here, over here on this angle right here, this is close, and it's significantly closer than this. So I need to be like, okay, I'm gonna go shoot this thing because this is gonna be problematic. Right? So if this is like a Genji or
Yeah.
something right here, yeah, of course I'm turning my attention to the Genji. Problem is that Junkrat's out here. This is not close enough to you for him to be significantly problematic to you, right? So this shouldn't be something that should be
Yeah.
worried about.
Okay.
Okay?
Because I think he does the same thing for like the whole game.
Right?
So I keep turning right to look at him.
Yes, yes, and that's something that's a little bit problematic with your attention. That happens this game. Okay? Now, is this something that is worth controlling? Yes. Did you have opportunities over here on this angle to kind of do things over here? Yes. Now, if we are talking about the whole entire idea of switching lanes, right? If this is you deciding to essentially say, okay, I'm not going to play over here, I'm going to switch my lane to be over on this side, there are going to be consequences to you switching that lane. I won't necessarily say that they're way too significant in terms of like what you're going to be able to do over here right now, because this is going to be important for us to deal with as well. But realistically speaking, you do have an Ana and a Mercy to be over here to actually kind of support this area. We do also need to support our Diva over here on this side. I don't think that this is going to be the most consequential decision that you've made, but at least if you do this, it means that you have to commit to this. So next thing would be this, next thing would be this, and then I would keep swinging and I would keep taking space over here like this, right?
Okay, so don't keep switching lanes. Kind of, if I switch a lane, stick on that lane. Don't like switch
Right,
back to the previous lane.
right, right. Switching
Okay.
lanes is bad. Sometimes you're going to have to do it, and it's going to make sense for it to be done. If that's the case, then commit and stick to that one, right? Which you did, and
Okay.
you got value out of it. Now it's okay to go back to the initial lane because there wasn't anything in the area for us to deal with. So now we can switch lanes, and now we can do whatever we want this way as well. Okay? Again, I would play as far towards this side as possible, poking from over here probably, right? And then maybe even deepening this way once the Junker Queen is no longer a threat, right?
Okay.
Potentially. But you see how you're kind of in between, so it's uncertain as to whether or not you're going to be going for one side or the other, right?
Yeah.
The reason why I'm
That's why
not
it felt awkward.
okay, the reason why this is problematic is not only because of the fact that yeah, you're standing in main, so obviously you're not going to be able to shoot anything, and also a bunch of spam damage is going to be going into you, which for this is his dream, right? But
Yeah.
more importantly than that, the reason why we would still lean towards the side with our positioning is that it makes it easier for us to make rotations later on, right? This becomes a lot easier to make than going from here and then trying to cross through, or going from here and trying to cross through and go over to here, right? If we're leaning over here onto this side, using this side as cover, then a rotation over here to try to get a poke angle and like Mercy or something is not going to be that long. It's not going to take that long, right? It just
Yeah.
is much more efficient, right? Damage, damage, damage. So nice, 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 nice. Okay. But you see how when we're close to this side of the map, when we don't really want to be on this side of the map, it becomes a lot easier for the Junkrat to deal damage to us, right? Now
Yeah.
we can just like, if we kind of rotated over here, maybe dynamited the Genji, did some damage to the Genji, and then pushed out the Junker Queen a little bit more, then we can just deepen over here and we can take even more space out on this side, or do whatever the heck we need to do. But we're kind of, it's rough in terms of the fact that we're not hard committing to one lane or the other. This lane is more, you're committing more over here, but again, the sight line is a little bit more compressed, right? So I
Yeah.
would 100%, if you had to choose between taking an off angle and between holding a sight line that is comfortable for your hero, I would choose the sight line 99 times out of 100, right? That being said,
Okay.
lean to the lane that you want to take when the map opens up. That way you are going to be prepared for it when it does happen.
All
Okay?
right.
Like you're over here, you're leaning to this lane. This is fine, this is fine, this is fine. Keep going, keep taking more space. Like end up over here, right? Because this is a better angle. It's a much different angle. We have much better sight lines than we would do over here, right? Can we see similar things? Yeah, but now we can see more different things. So the thing is, we can see things that maybe our Ana might not be able to see directly over there, or right, or vice versa. I don't like that coach gun because you want to save that for a dive. That's going to be a little
Yeah.
bit dangerous, but it was whatever. And us walking back this way makes us a lot easier to deal damage to by these guys, right? Because this is not the sight line that we want. This is. Similar things. It's just
See.
I'm going kind of rapid fire with this because this is one of those situations where you really have to be rapid fire with this because you are playing Ashe, which is a low mobility character, which means that the number of angles that they're going to have access to is going to be minimal, which means their ability to get to those angles is going to have to be predetermined, right, premeditated consistently, right? It's just harder to position on Ashe, and you have to be very reactive to a lot of things. The trade-off for that is that her damage is crazy. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Nice. Nice. Good damage, good damage, good damage, good damage. But we kind of didn't really do too much over there. Now, if we really want to think about it, right? We had an opportunity. We're doing some damage here. We're doing some good damage here. Imagine we have been here. We had been here. Zarya starts walking over here. I throw Bob this way, over here, to hold onto my position for the Zarya. Fight with the Zarya. Fight against the Mercy. Maybe take some more of the space out here later on after they're done. Kill the Genji and the Junkrat, and then we just take even more space and win. Right?
Mm.
Problem is
Yeah.
that we're over here, which is not as comfortable for our heroes. Even if we're over here, I don't care. Just pop the Bob. Just throw it. Just chuck it. Right? Even if we have to chuck it over here just randomly. The idea is that right now our space is getting completely compressed. It's, we're going to be losing a whole lot of space. Why? Because they have all the off angles and we don't. And I'm stuck in main. So if I feel that, that should be a sign of danger, right? I am in main. I have no off angles. I have no access to off angles. This is dangerous. So what I'm going to do is I'm pressing my I don't care about the danger anymore button. Right?
Uh,
Ana pressed hers, but we still needed another one. Like, especially like right now, especially since they pop like 30 ults. Problem is that we're already down 2 before we even pressed our ult.
yeah.
Okay. Fine with that. Okay. Not your problem. Not your problem. Not even close to your problem.
Okay.
Right. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Find a spot. Find somewhere to find something to shoot. She can worry about herself later. It doesn't matter. Right. That's just serving to waste time and bot progress.
Yeah.
And now instead of being over here, where you could have done some damage to the Juno and the Genji earlier, you're now back here.
Mm.
Okay. I like this angle better now. Nice. And it works. Don't run. Keep the angle.
Okay.
Right? Because now who takes that? Very easily. And where did this guy come from? Right. Now he did come from back over here, but this could have been something that we could have seen, coach gunned away from, and then dealt with. Right now we can't deal with that, so the only time we're able to actually do anything about it is when he's right here in an angle to be able to deal significant damage to us. Right?
Yep.
Okay. How many people did that grav get? Only you, surprisingly. But you see why I said surprisingly, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice angle. Nice damage. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, he just appeared, bro.
Okay. Okay. Sure. 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 Whatever. This is fine. This is fine. This is fine. Just go down here, fight this. Find an angle. Shoot things. Stay. Just stay. Just find another angle and shoot more things from the sight line. Right, and then you can coach gun back up to here later on.
Okay.
See how you're kind of just like moving around, moving around, moving around. Just anticipate where the fight's going to move, and then reposition to the angle that's complementary to that. Right. Bob could have been thrown like 30,000 times earlier in this fight, right? You want to throw the ultimate as early as you have an opportunity so that you get the ult advantage before the enemy does, right?
Okay.
But it doesn't work out. I mean, not that it doesn't work out. Not that big of a deal. Come. Nice damage. Nice shots. Okay. Right. So, if you kind of see this, right, now this is starting to become a problem. Right. And this is because he's leaning towards your side of the map right now. He's close to you. He can deal damage. Like, now this is starting. It's around the area. It's a little iffy, but if we leave this alone, this is going to probably do some things. Right, so it makes sense to try and deal with that. Now he kind of left and he made some distance, so now it's not longer a problem anymore. Right? These sequences, they move in and out really, really quick. Right? Really, really quick. But if you had that window and you find the window, then you can do even more damage than you could have before. Right? So you're finding these weaknesses and recognizing them rapidly over and over and over and over again, quickly, very, very quickly. Good damage. Good damage. Find the lane, we fight the thing that's on the lane, so now we can move even deeper on the lane, and now we fight even more things. Alright? I would still keep staying over here, because this is going to be the sight line that's going to matter. Alright. Right. Now your entire team... This is the thing that's a little bit problematic, right? It's the fact that, like, your entire team kind of, like, just completely hard stacked on your angle, right? This Emre switched lanes to kind of go right back to over here where you were. Your Mercy or your Ana kind of stayed over here on this angle. Your Winston kind of stayed on main and did whatever he was doing on main. You kind of see it where like they all kind of stacked and then crammed to you in your angle, and now this is going to make it harder for you. So I'm like, this is what I'm going to say. It's a team game. Sometimes your teammates are going to do some stupid stuff, and you're going to have to pick up the pieces with it. But it is what it is. Unfortunate. Sorry to hear that. Sorry about that. Right. Can't fix the mistakes of the teammates, but you got to kind of deal with it. Which I mean, I guess Ultra Instinct dodging the grab is one way of doing that. And good damage. Right? Just would not go and chase the Junkrat. Yeah. Right? Yeah, just go back and just keep doing the damage, and then that would have been fine. Yeah. But just that one decision just ends your complete ability to be able to do anything throughout the rest of the fight. So again, this game was very heavily RNG, I will say. Because it's very easy for you to make that decision right there, for you to make that mistake. But it's very consequential at the same time. Now, we don't want to sit out in main, but, like, whatever. Okay? This is a situation right here, right now, where I would just toss the Bob straight into the enemy team backline. You see that? Right? Yeah. Because right now, that would immediately make more space, which would allow me to swing. Right now, can we swing? Can we take any angles? No, we can't take any angles, and the reason why we can't take any angles is because of the fact that the map space doesn't give us what we need to in this area, so we need to move past it, right? You move past it by throwing the Bob, maybe even swinging out over here on this side later on and start doing a whole bunch of damage, even coach gunning up over here, and then finishing up the rest of the fight, right? Or maybe even swing towards the other side by going in through this room and then taking a fight out here and then maybe bobbing out here into their backline this way, right? And then doing whatever you want to do that way. Okay, you did it. Great. A little bit late, but it's not horrible. And then we just do damage. Right. Now, I get why you did this because of the fact that there was a Riptire, but now that you've done this, it allowed these guys to walk up here for free, and Genji to just climb up here for free without getting poked. Right? So again, makes sense as to why this happened, but there's still consequences. Right. And now I get what you mean when you were saying about like the missed shots. This is kind of I think
Yeah, the sounds on me.
I've seen you hit a lot of really good shots so far, so I'm not gonna like kind of bully you for your poor aim or something like that. Like see like shots like that, like those are still good shots. Like you started whiffing a whole bunch of shots in the Juno, and you're like, nah, I have to lock in now.
Yeah.
I mean, it is Juno, so I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know if she has a hitbox at this point. Okay, good damage, good damage. And now we're just kind of getting close to the end. Like, you're doing your job. Marking the Junkrat, dealing a whole bunch of more damage back on main. Map space opens up, taking more space, dealing more damage this way. Right. This is good. This is good. We like this. We love to see it. Right. Build the Bob. My only concern is that this Bob needs to go out early. The second that this monkey jumps in, there should be a Bob in the backline. What that's going to do is it's going to stop the backline from being able to walk up. We force out and we kill the monkey really quickly, and then we can push in, and then we can do more things with the rest of our ultimates in our space later. Right? Problem is that monkey jumps, we pop window.
Yeah, I saw the window and I used the bob kind of like to keep myself safe because the Winston was there
Right.
instead of like bobbing the enemy
But
backline.
this doesn't keep you safe. Well, it kind of does, but at the same time, what's going to happen is because our Bob doesn't have the ability to control space outside of this area, the enemy team is going to be able to rotate wherever they want to do whatever they want. They're going to be able to get over here, they're going to be able to set up angles over here, and then once they take all of the angles and we have control over none of them, then that essentially means that we're going to be at a significant disadvantage here, especially since we have to keep people on bot, right? So what this does is if we throw the Bob out here, or just like at like this wall or something, it's going to zone out their backline like almost perfectly. They're gonna have to deal with that. It's going to keep these guys like still locked into this fight. We can kill them all, we can push them out, and we can do whatever the heck we want. But this Bob over here doesn't do that, doesn't achieve that. So Genji can walk, Mercy and Juno can fly in, right? Junkrat still has an angle. They can all keep staging and setting up over here without having any kind of risk at all attached to them, right? See?
Yeah.
So Bob needs an angle too. And yeah, of course, it's really unfortunate that you have to be the one to run after the cart right here because everybody else just walks off. And then that's just game. Right. Okay. So, yeah, this game wasn't perfect. It wasn't necessarily a perfect shining example. But we did see some things that we can kind of improve from that. Okay. Now we're going to go on to my favorite time of the session. Yippee. So awesome.
What time is it?
Favorite time. 1, 2, 3. Give me 3 things you learned this session that we can try and work on.
I think first definitely the lane. Don't give up the lane because I always my worst habit is giving up the lane, I think.
So we can work on our lane behavior. Hold on 1 second. Right? So how we're behaving on these lanes and talking about lane control. What's that? What's a second thing that we can work on?
Um, I guess I would say positioning myself like equidistant from the enemy as my team is,
Right, right, right. Distance
kind of like
management.
in a circle.
Okay. So distance management, right? Managing that distance, right? Okay. And let's just add a third thing on top of that. What else? What's another thing that's like really important for us to kind of do?
Mm,
I mean, we could keep
and
it here with these two because these are going to be the most important ones. I think if I was going to add anything to this from what we've kind of already talked about, um, hmm. I'll just kind of put
would you say like not paying attention to people that aren't threats to
right,
me?
right, 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 100%. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I completely forgot about that. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so when it comes to lane behavior, what do we remember? What do we remember of how we are supposed to be, playing these lanes?
You want to control a lane that your team isn't in that, and then
Mm-hmm.
kind of stay in that lane, even though if like someone pushes you, you go back, but you still want to go back and control that lane.
Yep.
Don't give it up.
So commit to a lane, right? Okay. Then we're gonna say different. We're gonna actually I'm gonna say hold on. So uh I'm gonna say commit to a lane. I'm gonna say take free lanes. And I'm gonna call it an off angle. Right. Okay. And then the last thing that I kind of want to add on top of that is take as much space as possible. And then I'm going to say until, right? And for this until, you're going to say too close, too far, and not my space. Right? So, or maybe actually instead of my space, I'm going to say not my sightline. Right? So
Yeah. Okay.
you're going to keep taking as much space as you possibly can on that lane to take as much space as available to you until you meet these conditions where you're too close, too far, or not necessarily in the sight line that you necessarily want. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Distance management. Right? I'm going to say stay on the bus. Right? You want to stay on the bus. Don't get too close. Don't get too far. Right? I want to say watch out for enemy push slash kite. Right? So when the enemy team walks forward and walks backward, that adjusts the distance that you need to do, that you need to play at. Right?
Yeah.
Okay? right? So if they start, really walking forward at you, then you can walk backward, and if they start really walking backward, then you can take the space that they leave, and right, and then we just keep on going and moving from there, right? But we just make sure that we're staying on the bus. And then is there another thing that I want to kind of do? Want to kind of say, right, right. So I think this would be in line with taking the space that the enemy leaves. We talked a lot about, the enemy kind of giving up kind of space on a lane, right? Where it's like, okay, once like we push people out, or the enemy's starting to push onto us on like whatever lane that we're on, and our team can kind of capitalize. What I really want you to kind of look out for in regards to distance is like when the enemy team moves away from your angle, right? Then you can kind of take that space in, kind of similar to the lane behavior, that thing that we kind of talked about before, right? So,
Yeah.
right. So again, it's going to essentially be like. Actually, I think that kind of goes in line with like the taking space on the lane that we were talking about before. So I'm not going to go too far with that one. What I will say though, if I was to add anything on top of this, I would say to kind of prioritize your distance away so that you don't get dove, right? And
Okay. Yeah.
essentially, the thing that it would generally kind of look out for would be play outside of play so that you're not their obvious choice, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna just actually, best way I can kind of say that is just don't get run over,
Okay.
right? Right. So this is gonna be a fun one, right? Where it's essentially saying, if I'm saying don't get run over, what I'm saying is that even if we're kind of playing at a similar relative distance, if I'm playing too close to the enemy team where they can start to walk onto me and whatnot, I need to play my life. I need to play outside of a range in which they're going to be able to do so, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So attention. Keep attention on your lane, right? Is going to be one thing. Focus on what's on your lane. Focus on playing for your lane, right? With the exception of focus on what's close, right? So what you want to do is essentially, if something is close to you, you want to focus on that. You want to prioritize that. You want to but if there's nothing too close to you to kind of deal with, to kind of fight with, then you kind of go and say, all right, that's not my problem. I don't care what it is. I'm going to focus on what's on my lane and dealing with what's on my lane. If your teammates are getting absolutely mauled in the back line by like three dive characters, but you're in the enemy team's backline killing things, focus on being in the enemy team's backline and killing things, because that's still going to be valuable. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to take a screenshot of these things or write these things down?
Yeah. Let me take a quick snip.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
All right. Hold on 1 second. All right. I took also a little bit of snippet of this as well, and I'm going to send it to you for redundancy's sake, because I know how these things work. People will lose things all the time.
Great. Thanks.
All right. Now, when it comes to practice, talking about practice, right? Okay. Way that you practice these things. Number one thing to understand is doing one thing at a time, right? Practicing one thing at a time. And if that's staying on the bus, right? Practice staying on the bus. I want you to look in your games in terms of like, okay, where's my team? How far are they? How far can I be? Where can I be? Right? Where's my team? How far are they? Where can I be? Right? And constantly be thinking about that over and over again throughout the entire course of the game. Okay? Don't add and stack
Yeah.
a whole bunch of things unnecessarily on top of each other. We don't want to do that. That's just going to make everything worse. We just want to focus on one thing at a time. Even if it's literally just the idea of committing to a lane, right? Takes zero brain power at all to commit to a lane. The only brain power it takes is to just not start going back into main, and it's only in short bursts. But even still, we're not going to focus on anything else except for that thing, that entire game, right?
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
if it gets really difficult to kind of focus for the entirety of a game, at least make the first three fights perfect, right? Okay. Uh, in terms of like the order in which we want to do these things, I would definitely go for lane. Actually, I would probably say distance management first. Um, and practicing that because that's going to be the big thing that's going to kind of affect a majority of the rest of the things that you need to work on, right? Okay. Then focus on lane behavior, right? Then focus on attention. If it was just to be ordered, because these are going to be that's going to be the order of which how important and how impactful to your gameplay these things are going to be. Actually, for you in particular, I think that instead we could practice the lane behavior first because you don't necessarily have too much of a problem with distance management, but it is still going
Okay.
to be there, right? However, I don't really care about the order of these things as much. The most important thing is having fun, right? So as long as we are
Yep.
having fun, we can keep on putting focus into things, and we can put as much focus as we possibly can into things, right? So if you get bored of something and you want to switch to something else, that's fine. If you want to take a break, that's fine too. That's okay, right? As long as you're just practicing these things as much as you possibly can, don't burn yourself out. Take your time. Focus on only one thing at a time. Now I have to make this disclaimer. When you practice these things, you will suck. And that is okay because you are focusing a whole lot of your brain's energy into doing one thing as opposed to the millions of other things that it normally would do. But the more focus that you put into it, the easier the thing gets. All right? That makes sense?
I see. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It
Do you have any other
does.
questions?
Honestly, you kind of just answered every single question I had throughout this last 5 minutes. Like I was gonna ask how I was gonna implement it in what order, everything, but you just kind of automatically answered all of them.
Yep, yep. Uh,
So I
Generally
don't
tends to be
have
that question, yeah.
a lot. I guess is in how do you actually know when you kind of should move on to the next thing to focus on? Or do you just like constantly just keep going at it until like you get a review or something?
Okay. Here's the deal. First of all, none of these things are going to be things that you get perfect. They're going to be things that you get better at, but they're not going to be perfect, right? So you don't want to go until perfection because that's just not going to happen. What
Yeah.
I would generally do is I would practice one thing and I would just keep on practicing it until I get comfortable with it or I get bored of it, right? Where if it gets to a degree in which I'm comfortable with it, where it's like, you know what, for now, this isn't necessarily as big of a problem as, something else that I could be practicing, right? Then I'll just kind of, I would switch over at that point, right? Where it's something, when something else becomes higher priority to practice. Or if I'm like, man, practicing this sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. This sucks. That my brain just kind of hurts, right? Then I can probably swap to something else with the intention of going back and doing it later and not kind of procrastinating on it forever, right? So that you can actually eventually do it. I will admit, though, I kind of suck in that regard. I still probably need to practice my amp usage on Lucio. But at the same time, you know, just keep going until you start seeing the results of your progress. And then once the results of the progress that you've seen is to a degree where you think it's going to be okay to kind of work on something else and something else becomes more important, then you would go on to the next thing, right?
Hey, yeah. Yeah, that
Okay.
makes sense.
Right? Okay. So, I guess that will be it for the video portion of this review. You want to say goodbye to everybody watching?
Thanks a lot for helping me, even though this was kind of a freebie thing. But yeah, your explanations were super clear. I never really kind of understood this, the nuances, how to put it into words. I kind of just played according to gut feeling a
Mm-hmm.
long time ago.
Yep.
So it's nice kind of seeing you break it all down. And yeah, Coach Andrew was really helpful. Thanks, guys.
Yep, 100%. I'm obviously very helpful, and you should totally get a session with me, 100%. Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna, bully people for that. No, no, no. I'm gonna let my coaching do the talking. All right, but I'll see y'all.